Hello, and welcome to Lucky Charms Explained. On today's episode, Kachinas. These magnificent indigenous American wooden dolls, which depict mighty spirit beings. Kachinas come from the Pueblo people, who have lived in the southwestern region of the United States, mainly Arizona and New Mexico, for several thousand years. Specifically, their origins lie with the Hopi and the Zuni. According to Hopi spiritual beliefs, the Hopi people emerged from Sipapu, or the entrance to the underworld, by climbing a giant reed. This was the last stop on a journey through a series of previous worlds, none of which quite lived up to the billing, since each had its own problems like rampant disease or evil sorcerers. Though the mesa definitely stood as an improvement from the dark underworld, the arid landscape made it so crops did not grow easily. Luckily, the Hopis could rely upon help from the Kachinas, spiritual beings who had made the journey with them from below. The word Kachina comes from the Hopi word kachi, which means life or spirit. The Kachinas, unlike humans, had cosmic powers, and could influence the crops or the weather in order to help humans survive. Thanks to this help, the harvest flourished and the people began to prosper. Unfortunately, and the accounts differ on this, something tragic seems to have happened. One story goes that the Hopi were attacked and the Kachinas murdered, causing the Kachinas' souls to return to the underworld. In another story, humans started taking the Kachinas for granted, and indignant, the powerful beings returned to the underworld out of spite. Either way, the Kachinas left, and the humans, left to their own devices, looked to the objects the Kachinas had left behind. By wearing the Kachinas' clothing and imitating them, the Hopi found they could continue to commune with the spirits and receive help, even though no longer physically together. Because of this, as early as 1100 CE, they started making dolls of the Kachinas in order to pass down this knowledge to future generations, so their descendants would remember the Kachinas and know how to properly honor them. Although most closely associated with the Hopi, Kachina dolls have a long history across many different Pueblo peoples, as well as non-Pueblos like the Navajo, and their creation continues to the present day. Artisans would craft Kachina dolls out of a single block of paco, or cottonwood, and paint them intricately with mineral pigments, before adding flourishes of feathers, stones, and beads. The dolls generally assume neutral poses, with arms close to their sides. Sometimes they carry objects, like weapons or musical instruments. Though the tradition of Kachina dolls goes back thousands of years, the preferred styles for creating them have changed over time. Kachinas from the 12th century CE, and early Kachinas in general, were flat, simply painted, and adorned with few decorative elements. However, later Kachinas took on three-dimensional forms, blossomed into a rainbow of colors, and began wearing complex props or clothing elements. Pueblo people used Kachina dolls to instruct children, who they hoped would learn to identify the various Kachinas. Dolls were crafted and presented for the February Powamuya, or bean dance ceremony, which coincides with the important planting season, and then later hung up on the walls inside of buildings for use in study. Often, male uncles would create and present the dolls to their baby nieces. Girls only, not boys. Boys inherited the responsibility of dressing up and impersonating the Kachinas, an important and closely related spiritual practice. While Kachina dolls are not religious objects in the sense that they themselves are not worshipped, the dolls do serve as invaluable aids in religious instruction, and Hopis treat them with immense respect. In addition to this historic use, Kachina dolls have taken on new roles in modern times. During the early 20th century, and especially after World War II, indigenous people recognized a fascination in the dolls among Anglo-American collectors, and began to sell them. Within Hopi communities, the commercial production of Kachina dolls led to impassioned backlash, and accusations the sellers were co-opting spiritual practices for the sake of profit. As part of their business venture, these craftspeople started another controversial practice, that of signing their own names on their work, identifying the dolls as art objects rather than spiritual symbols. While kachinas have been popularized outside of their original context, they remain essential to Pueblo culture. Kachina dolls of course depict the Kachinas, which are powerful cosmic figures in Pueblo spiritual belief. The Hopi alone recognize over 400 different Kachinas, each standing for a different natural being or phenomenon, things ranging from weather to crops to animals to even revered ancestors. Because Kachinas can even represent individual people, the exact set of Kachinas varies across groups and geography. Some Kachinas appear almost universally, while others are esoteric. While each Kachina therefore holds different symbolic significance, they can roughly be divided into a few groups. The most important group is the chief or Hmong Kachinas, which are considered the wuye or spiritual partners of a given clan. This means that this group of people has a long-standing reciprocal relationship with that specific Kachina, who is revered above all others. As such, they symbolize knowledge, wisdom, the clan itself, and the clan's ongoing prosperity. A second group of Kachinas, the warrior Kachinas, serve as bodyguards for the chief Kachinas, and represent military might. One other interesting group, the Sosoyokt, or ogre Kachinas, stand out for their hideous appearances, and are tasked with scaring children into doing chores or pulling their weight for the well-being of the village. Because of this, they symbolize shared responsibility and the public good. One widely understood specific Kachina is Masao, the deity of death, darkness, earth, and the underworld, who first gave the land itself to the Hopis. Another is Koyemsi, the mudhead Kachina, who actually first came from the Zuni, and serves almost as a clown among the Kachinas. His strange appearance owes to him having conceived 9 incestuous children with his sister, for which he was forced to roll his head in the mud as punishment. Due to his jokester disposition, he represents humor and lightheartedness. Soyokmana, one of the ogre Kachinas, carries a knife and a large basket, prepared to carry off children to the boiling pot should they misbehave. She, because of her brutality, evokes fear and probably causes more than a few nightmares. Each Kachina has its own unique backstory and meaning, with the legends surrounding them as numerous as the Kachinas themselves. Though all these stories warrant individual consideration, the Kachinas as a whole embody the importance of community, synergy with the natural world, and a rich Pueblo tradition. And that's all. Hope you enjoyed this video taking a closer look at Kachinas. If you did, please like and subscribe for more episodes of Lucky Charms Explained. And in the comment section, let me know which specific symbols you want to see spotlighted next.